I forgot to film an introduction again. Today we're going to try to get this 1936 Chevy truck running and driving for the first time in 60, 70, 80, 90, 10,000 years. It's been a long time, and that's the goal for today, so I'm going to shut up and get to work. Well, I got the gas tank in, and so now it's time to work on the filler neck, which is supposed to come outside the box here. So with the gas tank, they give you this spout here and a chunk of hose. And then I bought a filler neck, which is supposedly for a 36 Chevy pickup, but with the filler neck, they give you this chunk of exhaust tubing that's supposed to adapt this. Oh yeah, and they also give you one hose clamp. So it's supposed to couple with this. So when you go to try and start putting some of this together, it becomes fairly apparent that none of this was really meant to work with each other. It's all just kind of a bunch of universal stuff hammered together. So then I started looking at pictures of original 36 trucks, trying to see how it goes, and it turns out that the gas tank that they sell for a 36 Chevy truck isn't actually a 36 Chevy truck gas tank. It's just a gas tank that fits in the opening and probably fits like 20 different vehicles. 36 Chevy tank is completely different than this one. Not that it matters on this project, but I guess if you're doing a 100-point restoration and you want an original tank, then you'll have to find an original tank, because it doesn't even look anything like the original. So it's just kind of a bunch of mishmashed stuff that you're supposed to make into something that works. Oh, and I bought a grommet for the filler neck on the box side, and you can see it's not even close to fitting anything. That's because I'm stunned, and I was shopping for parts at 2 a.m. and I bought one that's for a Suburban or a panel. It is a little deceiving the way it's worded, because it says it's for a Suburban and a panel and pickup truck, but they meant panel pickup truck, all one word. But anyways, don't go shopping at 2 a.m. I guess. And then when you get it, it just says gas tank seal on the box, but the part number on the website says it's the grommet for the filler neck, but it doesn't work on a pickup truck. So I found another supplier that supposedly has the right one, which is odd because it also says that it's for a panel truck, but they have the dimensions and it looks like the dimensions are right. The problem is it's $60 US, so by the time it gets here, it's going to be close to $200 for a stupid little piece of rubber. So I went digging through the garbage pile, and I have this one from a 35 Chevy car, but you can see it's in horrifying condition. And the other problem is that it doesn't have anything to hook it into the the bedside. And then I have this one, I don't know what this is from, but it actually has the little lip on it to kind of fit in here. But I don't know if you can see or not, but it's had some adventures in its life, and I think it's off a car or something, the way it's curved, but who knows. I'm going to soak this for a while and try to get it cleaned up and more pliable, and we're going to try to use this because I don't really want to spend $200 on this. While that's soaking, I'm going to start on the first problem, which is when I go to put the hose to connect this, it does go on here, but it's at, you know, a pretty harsh angle. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to take this off of here and clock it 180 degrees and see if I can get it going at a bit less of a harsh angle coming out. I don't know if that's actually going to work or not. I don't even know how any of this is supposed to go together. Like I said, none of this is even remotely close to what a stock 36 truck has. It's all just, they all just say it works, but obviously you have to do some fiddling around because it's just kind of a put together setup. So I'll start with that and see how we get. If it doesn't work, then it will work as it is. It's just gonna be a pain to fill it up with gas every time. You can see why all the street rod guys just get lazy and just hack a hole in the box and fill it up through there. I forgot to mention that the hose clamp that they give you doesn't actually fit the hose. So what is the purpose of this? I don't know. Might as well just not give you anything at all. I mean, you need 2 hose clamps anyways, so I don't know. Well, trying to clock it 180 degrees won't work because it'll just hit on the frame here. So all I did is I just turned it 1 screw hole over, and you can see now it's coming out at more of an angle, and I can get in here and hook the hose up without it being kinked like it was before. And just, I guess we'll start piecing all that nonsense together. Okay, I got the parking brake all hooked up here. So now we have a functioning emergency brake. It's just like a universal emergency brake cable kit. There's the part number if anyone's interested. I got it from Speedway. It's half the price of the low car kit, and it's just a rip-off of the low car kit essentially. So whatever. I mean, I live in Saskatchewan and it's an automatic, so I won't be using it hardly ever, but still has to be there. So got that working, and I got the filler neck installed, and I ended up using the grommet from 49 to 54 Chevy Pickup. This one was a little bit too large to fit properly, and this one also doesn't fit properly, but it fits slightly more gooder, and it'll be good enough for now. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the radiator hoses done. Here's the lower hose. There's the part number for that, if anybody cares. Probably not. It's just this one's for a 55 Chevy with a small block Chevy, and looks like it'll be the right size. And then this upper hose is the part number there, and this one is for a 1977 Chevelle, which is the best car ever built. And this number will also work. This is the original Oldsmobile Omega hose. And both these we're gonna have to just cut off here. This one wasn't in stock, so that's why we went with the 77 Chevelle hose. And again, we'll just chop off this bit here, and then it'll fit perfectly. So if anybody else out there is doing the exact same motor swap in their 36 or maybe, I don't know, 34 or 35 Chevy, these are the hoses that I'm using. Oh, nobody cares? That's what I thought. I'm just gonna get these installed. Don't worry, I did remember to install the lower radiator hose as well. When I used to build model cars, I always left the lower radiator hose off because it was difficult to install. But when I started working on full-size cars, I discovered that the lower radiator hose is in fact rather important. Let me know in the comments what you always left off of your model cars that you built or still build. Some of us still build model cars. I don't have time anymore, but I still enjoy that kind of thing. Nowadays, apparently they have something called Mechanic Simulator, and it's like a video game that simulates being a mechanic. But I think building model cars is a good way to learn about working on cars. And I'm sorry, but a video game can't replace the smell of glue and testers paint all over your hands. So anyways, I don't know. I think we're ready to fill this thing up with coolant, but I do want to figure out an overflow of some kind, I think. Not a lot of room in here for an overflow, so I just used an empty glass bottle and a chunk of exhaust tubing, and then I just welded a plate on the bottom and then bolted it directly to the radiator support mount. I've seen other people, they always use like a cool whiskey bottle or something like that. So I wanted to do something similar and find like the cheapest bottle of wine possible and use that. But then I realized if I went out and bought a bottle of cheap wine, I'd have to drink it first, and then nothing would get done for like the next 3 or 4 days. So this is like a bit of a compromise, I guess. Just gonna get a head start on tearing down this carburetor, let it soak for a couple days while I'm working on other stuff. So right now I'm just filming it so that I can remember how all of this goes back together, because I will forget, and I've never worked on one of these two jets or whatever they're called, so this is all uncharted territory for me. Somebody's really brutalized the choke on this. It's been worked on by an expert multiple times, so that's not great, but I mean, we'll make it work somehow. I'm more worried about what's on the inside. I don't think any experts got into the inside, but I guess I'll find out. This expert is gonna go and wreck it all if it isn't already wrecked. look at the amount of deposits in here. I didn't even realize there was a cavity here, but it's completely full of debris, so no wonder this thing had a slight hesitation. Surprised it ran at all. Originally I thought the accelerator pump was going bad on this, but upon investigation, I think it's just a combination of just the amount of sheer garbage that's packed in here, plus the fact that the rest of the thing hadn't had a tune-up since probably 1979. All the ignition components, spark plugs, everything were all completely sacked out. So I do think I have a new accelerator pump, so we'll just throw a new one in anyways and let this thing soak for a few days, and then make sure all the passages are clear and put it back together and hope that it works. Carburetor installed, and the next step is to figure out our throttle cable and gas pedal setup. So to do that, I have some options here. I have a low car throttle cable universal kit thingy, and I also have original GM cable from the 70s. And then I have the GM pedal assembly there, and then I have a spoon type gas pedal. What I'm thinking is I'm going to try to use the original GM throttle cable rather than this, because well, there's no way that this aftermarket cable is made of better materials than the GM cable. So I'll try to use this with this pedal just because it's a little bit simpler than this mess here, and if that doesn't work, then we'll switch over to using the aftermarket cable. Alright, I got that done, and I ended up using the stock GM cable with the spoon type pedal assembly, and all I did to adapt it is I cut the end off of the original GM gas pedal, and then I just drilled and tapped it and bolted it directly to the this pedal here so that I could use the stock cable. And the reason I did that is if the stock cable gives me any trouble, then I can swap out to the low car cable, and I didn't butcher up this pedal, which is designed to work with the low car cable. So seems like everything's tight and working right now. So as long as it stays working, then we'll be fine. So the only thing preventing us from firing this thing up right now and going for a drive is exhaust and wiring. And I don't feel like doing wiring, so we're gonna cobble together an exhaust and then we'll do wiring. And then if it all goes well, we'll be able to take this thing for a short drive. After that, all that's left is pretty much everything. So yeah, it's completely hopeless. For the exhaust project, I just bought a universal Happy Fun Time exhaust kit. I literally bought the cheapest one that was on Amazon, made by Vever or whatever the hell they're called. And I'm not even sure if we're building the whole exhaust right now, but I want to build enough so I can get mufflers on it, because you know, it's just annoying if you're straight pipe. It just sounds like you're some kind of dumb hillbilly. Oh yeah, there's the part number if anybody cares. Nobody cares. We decided to just go full hillbilly for now and just dump the exhaust right ahead of the rear axle. This is only temporary. Eventually, well, sooner rather than later, I want to go up and over the rear axle and out the back here, which means it's got to kind of do some snaking around and stuff, and that's going to require more effort than I'm willing to put into it right now. That's not overly complicated, but right now I just want to get this thing going for a test drive, and then we can start fine-tuning from there. But I'd rather spend more time on the wiring because I'm not really good with wiring, and it's a lot easier to redo, well, not necessarily redo, but just finish the exhaust than it is to redo bad rushed wiring. Anyways, I'm gonna rip this all apart now and blast it all together. Well, that's going to be a truly horrific sounding exhaust, so I'm thinking it's probably not going to last too long before we end up cutting it apart and finishing it out fully, but we'll get it jammed back in there and call it good enough for now, I guess. Cobbled together temporary exhaust is reinstalled, and that means it's time to move on to everyone's favorite task. That's right, wiring. Oh, goody. So, yeah, I bought Speedway's 12 circuit wiring harness. I used it before and it worked good then, so I figured I'd use it now. I probably won't use like the majority of this. Definitely don't need all 12 circuits on this truck, but seems like a nice kit, and they label the wires every few inches, so it's pretty hard to screw up, and I'm a guy who can't even wire in a car stereo, so I figured all this out years ago when I used it. I have been progressively getting stupider every year, but I'm hopeful that I'll be able to figure it out this time. I'm not going to film any of it because I mean, there's nothing to be learned from watching me struggle with this, so we'll come back when this spaghetti nightmare is installed in this nightmare. Alright, I've been wiring my little heart out. I got the rear all wired. Obviously everything needs to be tidied up, but there are wires going to all the places where they need to go. Taillights are wired, gas tank, sending units wired. I got ignition lights, gauges, basically the entire interior now has wiring in it. And got the engine. Engine is fully wired, so all that's left now is to wire in the headlights. And I know what you're saying, well, you can't really wire them in because you don't have any front sheet metal on right now, but I would like to just get all the wiring done all at once. So even though we're not ready for the headlights yet, I want to have them wired while all the wiring stuff is out, and then we can just say it's 100% done and we don't have to come back to it in 2 weeks. So these are the original headlights here, and they were originally 6-volt, of course, and not particularly bright. And I'm not saying they're stupid, but they're just a little slow. So what I did is I bought this kit here, halogen headlamp conversion kit, and it also has built-in turn signals inside of here. And as it turns out, it's being sold through one of the Chevy parts seller people, but it turns out they just took a Model A kit and resold it as a Chevy kit, so I could have just bought this from a Model A place for probably half the price, but whatever. I do like the idea of the turn signals being built into here. On my 35 Chevy Master, somebody just mounted motorcycle lights for the signals, and nobody can see them, so you end up just using hand signals, and nobody knows what hand signals are, so they think you're waving, and it's just a hassle. So I do like the idea of having them built into here. It should make things a lot easier. So yeah, I'll start by seeing what all is involved in getting these to fit in here. Hopefully they fit. As with anything, we'll find out soon enough. Okay, well, we have lights and wiring and things, and there's currently battery juice going to the entire truck, and nothing has started on fire yet. And I'd like to say everything just worked perfectly right off the bat, but that's not the case. Some of it my fault, some of it not my fault. So first issue is I was having issues with the dash lights. They came on when you turn the park light on, then when you turn the headlights on, they turned off. And so I was following this diagram here in the instructions, and this is wrong. So I'll put a picture of the correct one. They have the correct wiring diagram on their website, so why they couldn't, put it in the instructions, I don't know. Simple stuff for somebody who knows what they're doing, but for me, complicated. So we got that sorted out, and next problem was actually with the front park light on this side. It wasn't coming on, and then the turn signal was going on the wrong filament of the bulb. So I thought maybe something was wired in backwards. So after doing a bunch of troubleshooting, then the next thing I know, I didn't have any park lights at all up front or signal lights. And so that indicated, well, probably a bad ground. So what I ended up doing is I just ran a ground wire directly from the headlight housing to the frame. When in doubt, ground it out. That's the limit of my electrical expertise, but we do now have lights, headlights, yes, and I believe the high beams work as well. Yeah, and we also have the park lights are now working, and why don't we try the signals as well? Oh, I don't know where I put the keys. Never mind. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay. You see the signal working? Same deal over there. Oh yeah, and tail lights work too, brake lights work. There's the signal. So looks like everything seems to be working. Gas gauge came up a little bit. I did put some gas in it, and volt gauge seems to be working. And so I would definitely buy this kit again. Makes wiring easy enough that somebody like me can do it. So that means that literally anybody can figure this out. So don't be afraid of wiring, folks. You can get it, I think, with 24 circuits as well. And then I also saw that they now make this kit with cloth covered wire, which is really cool. It is like double the price of this kit. So on this truck, I didn't feel like cloth covered wiring was going to matter. But if I was doing something that was period correct or whatever, then it's cool to have that option now. So anyways, yeah, there's a little pep talk of the day. Don't be afraid of wiring. Next step here is to fire it up, I guess. Should probably wait until tomorrow. It's getting late, but getting kind of frustrated. So I just want to hear this thing run for like 2 seconds, and then we'll call it a victory. And then tomorrow we'll come back out and we'll get all this wiring buttoned up, and then let it run for longer and go through all the stuff that needs to be gone through. Well, it does run, kinda. I tightened up the fan belt there, sorry about that, and ran it for a couple more minutes, and obviously massive fuel leak here. It's a little optimistic to think I could reuse this fuel line again, because every single time I try to reuse these, they always leak like a maniac. So new fuel line tomorrow. That's first order of business. And also my cobbled together throttle cable using the original throttle cable is not going to work. It's it's binding up, so we're just gonna switch over to the low car cable, and then we'll run it some more, find more problems, and this is the fun stage where we get to just start solving problems. So I'm sure there will be more issues popping up as we continue. Well, I was working on installing the new door handle ferrule thingy, and this has been an ongoing saga. For those of you following along, it turns out you need the tool to install this. So I bought the tool, and it finally arrived, and went to use it, and it broke. I don't know if you can see there, almost immediately. Not only that, but I had my finger in betwixt here while I was squeezing it, and it crushed my finger, and my finger, it hurts right now, and I'm not very happy. So don't buy this stupid tool. It's $50 wasted. You probably just build your own. Basically it just goes into here like so, further in, and then this little pokey thing right here, it comes out, and it if I can turn, and it comes out and punches little holes, which then bend these tabs over and hold the doodad in place. Luckily I was able to get a few in on this one, hopefully enough to keep it from moving around before it decided to fail on me. But I guess we won't be changing out the passenger side, which is fine because the passenger side isn't missing. So anyways, you could probably just build your own if you have an early Chevy. I would definitely not recommend wasting $50 on this piece of crap. Yeah, you just use like a piece of round thingy, cut a slot in it, and then make a little, this guy here, just bend a chunk of round whatever and sharpen the end, and then thread it and call it a day. So junk. disappointing piece of junk. Well, when I was a kid, this truck, or not really even a truck, it was just a cab and the front sheet metal. I remember it sitting in the corner of the shed at my parents' house, and then it sat next to the shed for a while, and then it sat in the corner of my parents' garage for even longer, and then eventually it ended up here, sitting in the corner of my garage. And as of now, the old 36 Chevy runs, drives, stops, steers, all the lights work, and all the gauges work. And the real work is still just beginning. There's a million little things that need to be fixed, and a million little things that need to be done, but it's doing stuff. It probably hasn't moved under its own power in, I don't know, 60, 70 years. It was off the road for a long time, and it was just a basket case in pieces for even longer. And yeah, I think that's a good place to end this episode. Obviously, we got a ton of work to do if we want to get this thing actually on the road. So I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.